Tonight, a dramatic new phase may be unfolding across Crimea as Ukraine appears to be intensifying its campaign to cut off the peninsula from Russian supply lines. Over the past several days, a series of coordinated strikes has targeted key infrastructure surrounding the Kerch Strait, the narrow waterway that connects Crimea to mainland Russia. Massive fires have been reported on both sides of the strait, raising fresh questions about the security of one of Moscow's most important logistical corridors. Military analysts say these attacks were not random. Instead, they appear to have been part of a carefully planned operation designed to weaken Russian defenses before hitting critical supply targets. Yes, indeed. According to multiple reports, the first wave focused on air defense systems positioned around the Kerch State, the Kerch region. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that very right. I'm sorry. Ukrainian forces reportedly targeted radar installations and missile defense assets, responsible for protecting both eastern Crimea and the Crimean Bridge. More importantly, the Crimean Bridge. These defensive networks serve as the ears and eyes of Russia's military presence in the area. By disrupting detection capabilities, the Ukrainian forces may have created temporary openings for follow-up strikes deeper into the region. The timing of the operation has attracted particular attraction now. Just days before the attacks, Russian authorities announced new fuel deliveries intended to support military and civilian operations across Crimea. Analysts now believe Ukrainian commanders deliberately waited for these supplies to arrive before launching their next move. Soon after, fire erupted near fuel storage facilities located close to the Crimean Bridge. Videos circulating online appears to show multiple storage tanks engulfed in flames, sending thick columns of smoke into the air. The incident was serious enough that traffic across the bridge was reportedly suspended for several hours as emergency crews responded and air defense systems engaged incoming threats. But the operation did not stop there. As flames spread on the Crimean side of the strait, another wave of strikes reportedly hit targets across water in Russia's Krasnodar region. Fuel facilities, transport infrastructure, and assets connected to marine and maritime logistics were all reportedly targeted. One of the most significant incidents involved in a major oil terminal, while reports also emerged that a ferry operating in the area sustained damage during the attacks. Now, what makes this operation particularly noteworthy is the level of coordination involved. You might notice this. See, instead of striking only the supplies arriving in Crimea, Ukraine appears to have simultaneously targeted infrastructure responsible for sending those supplies in the first place. In other words, both the source and the destination came under attack during the same operation. The military observers say this strategy places enormous pressure on the entire logistics network supporting Russian forces in the Crimea, as images of burning fuel depots spread across social media. Discussion quickly has shifted towards a larger question: what comes next? Russia's military commentators have increasingly warned that these attacks could be setting the stage for an even more significant operation involving the Crimean Bridge itself. For months, the bridge has remained one of the most heavily defended structures under Russian control. However, analysts point out that Ukraine's strike capabilities continue to evolve. Why? Well, this is mostly due to new generations of long-range drones, larger warheads, and increasingly sophisticated missile systems that have expanded the range of options available to Ukrainian planners. Yes, this is true. They have got these various these various missiles that are not only flying very low so as to avoid the detection structures, but at the same time they have been carrying larger loads, larger warheads. So yeah, they are posing like a newer threat to the opposing forces, and at the same time, they are giving much more options to Ukrainian fronts. Some Russian observers have specifically highlighted concerns about upgraded drone platforms capable of flying low and carrying heavier payloads than previous models, while others have looked at the technical approach. The anti-ship and land attack missile systems that have repeatedly demonstrated their ability to penetrate defended areas are also a concern for them. And more importantly, adding to these concerns is the growing role of unmanned naval systems. Over the past year, uh, now, Ukraine has increasingly relied on sea drones to challenge Russian control of the Black Sea. Reports have included reports have also surfaced regarding experimental underwater systems that could potentially threaten maritime infrastructure in ways traditional weapons cannot. As a result, some analysts believe that any future operation against the Crimean Bridge could involve a combination of aerial, naval, and potentially underwater attacks launched simultaneously. Such a scenario would place extraordinary pressure on even the most extensive defense network, which no doubt Russia has. They have like a very strong base, but well, technology. These concerns have only intensified because Ukraine has already demonstrated its ability to repeatedly strike transportation links connected Crimea with Russian controlled territory further north. Satellite imagery released in recent months has shown damage to several crossings and transport routes used to move personnel, equipment, and supplies. In multiple cases, repair efforts were reportedly followed by additional attacks, forcing the Russian forces to rely on temporary alternatives and improvised crossing points. This pattern has reinforced fears among Russian commentators that critical infrastructure can be targeted repeatedly rather than just once. For now, it remains unclear whether Ukraine's ultimate objective is the destruction of Crimean Bridge itself or continued disruption of the supply network surrounding it. Either strategy could significantly complicate Russian logistics in the region. What is clear, however, is that pressure on Crimea continues to grow. With transportation routes under constant threat, fuel infrastructure burning on both sides of the Kerch Strait, and Ukrainian long range strike capabilities expanding, many observers believe the battle for Crimea is entering a new and potentially decisive phase. As always, we will continue monitoring and observing the developments, and we will continue to bring you the latest updates as new information becomes available. Thank you, and if you've been so far, please leave a sub to our channel and leave comments. Thank you.